everybody online in the room. We have Rusty, Ron, myself, Rodney, Tracy Bedcott, Jim Morris, Charles, Fran, Robin, Lori Reed, and Mr. Truman from the fair.
It's Becky on the mister.
I was thinking, there's your dad, what the heck is that?
Isn't that scary, Bob?
He used to whack us around pretty good.
We got Laura just joined online too.
Obviously, if he didn't have it coming.
We had it coming.
All right. We will do the pledge. Everybody, unless you're not on. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh Lord, as we gather this day to do the important business for the people of the village of VOO, grant us wisdom, compassion, and understanding. Amen.
All right, so,
Let's do the fair first.
well, our first thing is public comment. Is anybody have public comment? Okay. So we'll do the fair board presentation first.
We don't have John here.
No, he's selling his car, so.
Oh, okay.
Just you and I.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't realize that. Tell me, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
I can spin my computer around for you guys online.
Okay. We had talked to Jeff Souls, proposing that there are gates installed on the front and the back of the fairground. What we're trying to do is cut down on the damage that's being done to the lawns, etc. It's nothing that probably most of us didn't do once in our lives. It's fun to put a donut in the middle of a good lawn, but at the same time, it doesn't really give us a good image for the public as they come down there. And Jeff is having to work against that, as are we. So we're looking for approval to put up a gate in the front and the back, and then the local police or the legal police would have to close them at the appointed hour, be at 9 o'clock or whatever, and then again open them first thing in the morning so that the walkers can get in there. This, however, brings on another problem we've also talked to Jeff about, and that is security cameras on the fairgrounds. A lot of us at the town of Owego and the Tiger County Fair have put a lot of money into trying to make it a very presentable fairground to keep it clean, only to have the vandals and the kids come in and do a really great job of tearing it up. I mean, just the other day, we had somebody that came down through the roof of the agricultural building, tore the roof off, came down in, sold the stereo system, or speaker system, and took the compressor out of the refrigerator. But on top of that, we've got parties going on in the back, there between the corral and the agricultural building. You, as a town, are paying for a lot of upkeep on the outhouse when it's open. You've lost your pool stuff in one go around, and you're getting a lot of stuff into the even the playground as far as tearing stuff up. They're having a great time, and unfortunately, it's probably part of just the area that's involved here in the fairgrounds. But we would also like to take a look at a joint venture on a security cam system. We had a quote on it today. Looking, by the time we get everything said and done, at about $18,000. It's just some electrical stuff that aren't in the paperwork involved in the paperwork you might have received. But we're also looking at doing that as a joint venture. We're coming to the well too. We're not saying, hey guys, we got to have this. We're saying, let's get something done. I know that in the master grant, questions?
If you are, I assume you're referring to the DRI with the master grant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so cameras are part of that. So if we ever do get the money, we could possibly get reimbursed.
Okay.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, we talked about dates.
Yeah, we talked about the dates too.
And these are the areas that's designated where the best vantage point.
If you look at the circle areas, yes, sir, that would be correct. And what, say out there by the pool, there's more than one camera in that circle. There's a camera that's gonna go towards the pool, towards the tennis courts, and also a license plate reader that will read the license plate of every car that comes in here through the front gate. And then there's a second one back by the first pavilion, shall we say, by the bathrooms in that area. And that one would cover the bathrooms and the playground area, which when you start to think about it, it wouldn't be bad from an insurance standpoint to have a camera on that in case anything ever happened. You've got a record of it.
And these are standard cameras. I mean, they got expensive cameras that have facial recognition these days.
Yeah. Well, the license plate reader camera is the most expensive one, because that has to be high definition, high speed.
You mentioned coordinate this with DRIs, if they had a plan of strategically mounted cameras that probably.
Right, the main thing with the DRI is we just have to make sure we follow our procurement process, if there's one. 18,000, it won't be much of a process. And then we have to, as an overall DRI thing, we have to do the minority women business. Yeah, MWBE stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to be this part of it. As all the money we spend at the park has to be a certain percent.
See, from our standpoint, we will probably go for a grant on this. We have a couple places that we can go.
Okay.
And so we would probably go to that at this time, not that we aren't getting money from the state, that's other projects.
Right.
That's things like a cover for the arena, for instance.
I mean, I think this is a good project. I always, yeah.
Well, just like we talked about, talking to Albany about the roof on the fire station. I mean, getting that started before we actually had the money in hand. I mean, can that be, could Albany agree to let that happen too also?
Choppy to hear you some of what he said about like copy cameras and license plate readers.
Yeah, we got a handout here. We'll get it to you. I don't know how many cameras. We got a map here. Hold up in front of the table. We got a map. Oh, wait. With circled spots on them. You can see them on the screen.
Okay.
And there would be multiple cameras in each spot, depending on the spot. Kind of cover the park.
Okay, and who is watching the cameras? Because access to the information on them and anybody speak with the chief of police about the license plate reader or, you know, where that information is going. Who has access to all of that?
Rusty has his hand up.
Too fast, slow down.
Yeah. Well, she's asking who's going to be monitoring.
I understand exactly what she's asking. Too fast, slow down. We're not at those levels of, we just got this 3 seconds ago, we're not at those levels of having any idea how we would put this together at this particular point.
Right. This is just an idea at this point. So we don't know yet, Laura.
Okay.
Right? We haven't figured that much out yet.
No, we have not. We've been working with Jeff on this one, but we haven't established who does what for when.
Jeff's out there too.
Password protected.
He said multiple people could have access. It won't happen. As many people as we want could have access. As far as the police or DPW.
It's the same system that the DPW currently is using.
Okay.
So they're familiar.
Who's making purchase of the cameras
That's the paperwork they gave us was kind of like a cost estimate on the equipment. We don't know, as far as paying for it, it would be a split between us and the fair board. We don't know that exact split yet, it's just kind of an idea. An idea of if we're in favor of this, right?
Excuse me?
This is just kind of an idea of if we're in favor of it, or what do you guys?
Well, we just want to make you aware of what we're trying to put together
Okay.
as a starting point. You know, this is just pouring the sand in the sandbox.
Okay. Were you able to hear it, Mark?
Okay. Let me think about it a little bit.
Okay. What was that, Jeff? I can never heard you.
Yeah, you need to repeat what you said. I couldn't hear.
Well, we're looking at $18,000 worth of equipment. On top of that, we'll have to pay probably a monthly fee to the network service. Get the and also pay spectrum online.
Yep.
And that's like $65 a month, something like that.
Initially, if you didn't want to get the spectrum involved, the system has the capability of recording for up to 90 days on a loop system, so that you would have the information there if you needed it without any hookup at all.
Right.
But then you wouldn't have the capability of, say, beaming into the police department or your home or what have you.
Yeah, you just couldn't view it real time from a different location.
That is correct.
Is there more? Is there more from
No.
you guys?
Well, I think
So
what we're
saying
gonna do
is
is,
it-
if I can kind of wrap this up, I think we're gonna do this regardless of what the village does. I mean, we've got to protect our assets now. And I came in kind of late on this, but, I mean, our property we've had broken into, so we want to secure that. It makes sense to put the whole thing together, but, you know, the fence, you know, the gate and the back gate, we can do that, and we're gonna do that. So if you choose to put the gate in front, then that's the village. But we need some sort of security system on there. It just makes sense to combine the two. It's all kind of one big, it's an easier project if you do it all at once than break it up.
John Schumacher, just like John said, I apologize for coming in here late, I was getting caught up in something, but like I said, we've been talking like this for like a year, and then we brought in Jeff in the loop, and then he started talking about the pool, the bathrooms getting trashed all the time, and then we got to the gates, you know, and all that. So we kept him on, and we've been working on this proposal a couple months, you know, for somebody else out there. The first two things, and I know you just got it, we just got it this morning, are basically ours, and then, if I can remember real quick, the first two, these first two where it says 1 and 2 are ours end of it, and then your 3, 4, and 5 is what you guys are. The first two would kind of correspond to, you know, the fair end of it. And then the other 3, how that would be broke out, told Jeff, I do a lot of the grants to the fair, and I said we could reach out to some grant people. He told me that Fannie High doesn't do municipalities, so, but they had funded us, and they got a lot of money in that. Our buildings down there, a lot of money, and from them and Hooker and Truman. So I think between all of them, to protect their assets and ours, we can do something. Wrap you guys into it a little bit, you know, and so that's where we are. You know, it's gotta be something down there to get broke into.
Did everybody hear that online? I know it's hard to hear. Basically, I'll recap it. They're gonna try and get grants to cover some of it.
Try.
That's the plan anyway. And hopefully we can do it all in a big system instead of just as the fair doing, their own part. And then we do our own part. Hopefully we just have one big system with their little part.
Well, really, in the 7 years that I've been involved with the fair, we brought that whole fairgrounds area into a new era. I just hate to see it go downhill. And we've got, I think, an excellent working relationship with the village. I know of no problems that we've had. And this was just one more time we can go to the well together and let's finish off the job.
Yeah.
Depends on how it works.
Yeah, no, I mean, sounds good to me.
Well, I think like Jonathan said, we'll have to go our own, but we're trying to wrap everything together. It just made sense, so. Justin, we got issues ourselves, so.
Right.
Just the one question I have is, if we do a joint venture, would we split the monthly fee as well, as far as the monitoring service?
Like Charlie said, it was part of the system that you got, so I think I talked to Kim and Rod over at your place today. They were gonna talk to Spectrum, but I don't know if I'm jumping in, but it was part of the system that was already involved, and you can add or subtract cameras, where you need them. If you say, we need another one over here, it was a pretty quick addition. The most expensive one was in that front gate, which captures the resolution for license plate.
Well, Ron, the village is responsible for the whole harbor park.
Right,
They want cameras in buildings
Right.
that they put up,
I understand that.
but it's still our property.
I understand.
We would be responsible for.
No, actually, the cattle barn there still belongs to the fair.
Right.
The back barn, the big barn. You started almost that walkway in front of the cattle. Kind of the walk, and that's out. Yeah.
But this is, if I'm correct, part of the DRI project.
It is, yeah.
All right, so what I'm saying is, what they have proposed here should merge with that, so one hand knows the other hand is doing, and in that aspect, we get the job done, so that,
Right.
there's no waste, so they don't have to put out something that's going up. I mean, I think these, where they have the cameras strategically positioned, this is the first I've seen cameras strategically positioned. I don't know what the DRI have, I have yet to see plans. But if they're presented with this, there's a plan like that.
It's up to us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they know where strategically property is being vandalized, and I think it should be focused on those areas. DRI, they don't know, so they know, now they will have the
Is
information.
the Big Village grant still viable?
We'll find out.
I emailed
I mean,
them
the
today.
engineers haven't been, I was told that the engineers would contact us at the Fair Board to get our input. We've heard it.
So we haven't hired him yet because we don't have a contract with the state yet, so.
And I thought all that was on hold, that's why I asked that. So we said, we might as well just go ahead.
Right.
And if you
We'll
could
be
set
glad.
up where you could be reimbursed, but in fact, is part of the DRI. Right, the village gets reimbursed at a later date.
Right. That's the plan,
So
hopefully.
thanks, guys, we're gonna,
Thank you very much for your time.
get out of it, but we're gonna be checking with the DRI and finding out what we can do.
We got a lot to do.
So we're gonna find out more.
See you later, man.
I should have named it.
Yeah, really.
Thank you, guys.
Got free passes to the fair this year.
Always
So
do that.
generous.
Wow.
He said three.
Those are behind now for us free passes to the fair. Only good this year.
Yeah, no kidding.
Alright, should we do Cory Reed next? This is gonna be hard on mine. I don't know if you wanna come in the middle, Cory?
I can be in the middle, if that's good.
The microphone on this computer's not that great. We have two of our trustees on the line. So this is Cory, here, let me turn it around for you. It's Cory Reed from BCA. Can you see it?
I think so, yeah, I'm in there.
Yeah.
So it's good, I think it's my first board meeting back since COVID-19 through all of my clients that I work with, so it's good to see faces. It's been a while since I've been in front of you, but I wanted to come down. And thought at first I could give just a brief project update where we're at. We had a progress meeting last week. And things are going fairly well. Biggest things, we're looking, contractors submitted a new schedule that shows startup facility basically the end of September through middle of October. We asked some questions back and forth. He believes he probably can have it start up mid-August to tail end. We've got some people coming first week of August to do some checkouts here and there to make sure that it's ready for startup. But so, the end of September is kind of worst case scenario. And then, we're hoping they can finalize things so we can start on the end of August, which would run, a little bit for a second week in September. But, waiting for a few things on that. Contractually, what was in the bidding documents, we had a October, end of October, substantial completion. And when I say substantial completion, means that the facility is up and running. There may be some punch list items like that soffit or that fascia is not completed, but the pumps are running. You can create Class A biosolids. And then we have a final completion date of the end of November. And that's the time, there'll be a list of all punch list items, paint this, paint that we'll have to work with. So, there are questions, Teresa, I don't know if I left anything out that is on that. Questions? Okay. So yeah, that's kind of, I guess, a project update. I think we have a good project. Yes, there's been obviously some bumps in the road. Okay. We've been able to work.
They go right down his shirt. It was a bug. He went right down into his shirt.
I got him off.
It's a big wasp.
I didn't want to swat you.
So we understand there's been some bumps in the road, and we've been able to work through those, with the village and the contractors. And if there's more that's coming, we're willing to do the same thing. By all means, there was we're not perfect, but some of those things, we hope that it wouldn't have came up to fruition, but they did. Work through them, and hopefully we can work through any other ones. And I'm looking towards having the village have a operating facility that works well. They can get your Class A biosolids and something that will, for years to come, operate. So I guess one of the things we did have the amendment number 6 that we had submitted, and one of the big items on that was construction inspection. So if I rewind back, just after we opened up the bids back in September of 2018, we had a contract for design, but it didn't have any construction inspection. So with, I think it was amendment number 4, in October of 18, that's where we had an amendment that added inspection to our contract. And at that time, we tried to do our best to look at, we don't have the contractor's schedule at that point, that later on. But we tried to do as best we can to forecast what the schedule may look like. And, that is an hourly service that we provide. So if a contractor finishes early, then that's money that's not utilized. But it goes the other way too. If he takes longer than what we anticipated, then there's, some additional money back to add to it. On this one, unfortunately, that with the current schedule we're showing, doing startup in September, we need some additional inspection money for the project. Now, there are some line items in what I'll call our additional services, one of them being startup. Our plan for our inspector out in the field is to use some of that line item when we're actually doing startup. So it won't come out of a project inspection line item. So we're able to use some of those other services for startup for inspection on there. And that was accounted for in that amendment number 6. But I guess I didn't know what questions everyone had. I don't want to go into their specific questions that was kind of the general sense of where we're at today.
My one concern is that, as long as I know, the project is not behind schedule. Correct on that? Like we're on schedule.
Correct. Contractually, yes, from what was in the bidding documents, what they submitted, they're on schedule.
Well, then my question would be, how is it 4 months off for the pay rate for the inspector? I mean, you ran out of money in June, you expected us to pay the extra almost $90,000 for 4 months of, where did you think he was gonna be for this 4 months?
So, again, so when we guys forecasted the original dollar amount, so I think I've mentioned, we thought a lot of projects are using this winter shutdown.
Well, that's another question I had, is I bet at every single work meeting, that was never once mentioned at all, that or whoever planned on shutting down for the winter. I was there, and it was never brought up, I don't see it in writing anywhere, so I don't know where that assumption came from.
So Amendment 4, when you added the 350 for the services, it says that as soon as the contracts were signed, they would be reviewed and it would be adjusted then, if necessary. That was back in 18.
Right, so, yeah, that was October 18. So our pre-construction meeting was January of 19. So I guess, so when we set up the budget, I didn't know that the contractors weren't gonna have a winter shutdown, right?
But there's never in the paperwork anywhere that they would assume there would.
I'm speaking from other projects I've worked on. Again, they're not all the same.
Right.
But typically, I've seen some winter shutdowns, not all of them. Our budget that we had put there, we had assumed there'd be some winter shutdown where there wouldn't be an inspector there.
That's one of my concerns, and if we did shut down, then we would be how far behind schedule, or ahead of schedule. I mean, if the inspector wasn't on the job site for 2 months in the winter time, but yet we're still on the same schedule. I'm very confused that if we were to shut down, how far out would this project have gone? If you wanted to shut down for 2, 3, 4 months in the winter, would we be pushed out to January of 21?
Well, at a certain point, so if the contractors don't meet the contractual dates, there's the liquidated damages that can follow
Yeah, talk
afterwards.
about it in the week.
Right. So I mean, I guess, so Lobar actually did leave the job site.
Right.
The Matco did not.
Right, because they're based out of 2 different states, I believe was the reason.
Right. So I guess, again, we assumed wrong that there had been a winter shutdown. I guess, with that amendment number 4 in October 18, we should have had that additional 85,000 in it at that point. But I guess, again, I tried to forecast, get the crystal ball out, and, we were unfortunate the budget was low.
I understand forecasting.
Yeah.
Certain things are unforeseen. Like, there's certain parts that I just struggle with, like transportation costs. I mean, paying $95,000 for him to drive back and forth to wherever he lives, it just seems excessive. We're not paying for any specialty services.
When in our attachment C with the contract, it states that we'll pay mileage for travel by hour. Doesn't say anything about hourly wage and mileage. So why are we being billed an hourly wage plus mileage for an inspector to get to the job site?
I didn't bring the attachment C with me, but I
Got it right here. I don't mean to push your hand. This is-
There's a copy of it.
I can take a look at it.
Because, it amounts to the hourly wage that we're getting averages about $4,200 a month that we're getting charged for an inspector to come to our site. Plus mileage. When in here it says we'll pay the IRS mileage.
The monthly mileage we're being billed is $1,426 a month for the inspector to go back and forth wherever he goes, which doesn't matter where he lives. And my concern there is in section C 204, resident project rate, standard hourly rate for each applicable billing class for all resident project representative services performed on the project. Him going home has nothing to do with my project. So 5 hours at $95 an hour for home, that just seems way excessive for the past year. To sit there and ask for an extra $90,000. I mean, we have to justify this to our taxpayers.
I understand.
And we're a small village with a crazy percentage of non-taxable properties in this village. So we have to be very cautious. I mean, this is definitely not a personal thing, it's all business.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, these are questions and concerns that we have.
Right, and rightfully, and like I said, I mean, not to, I guess, read that tonight, I mean, I can go back and take a look. I mean, there are some things, Teresa, I believe, Peter Clough from our office also had talked to me about certain things that, you know, we could potentially incorporate, whether, you know, our inspector, you know, comes in later Monday or something like that. I mean, I'll read Exhibit C and read through that. I haven't read that through that in a while. And I can, you know, take that with me and look at that tomorrow when we get back. No, understood.
I mean, I hate the barrage you with all these.
No, it's fine.
But the expenses says direct cost plus 10%. How do you know what the direct cost is? Do you have receipts, invoices, or anything, or you're just paying in a lump sum for housing and whatever else?
That flies.
I mean, like, I have a rundown of like mileage, meals, lodging, and then subs come in. My question, the subs, are they the same senior project? Are they junior? Are they 90 or 75? Are we being reimbursed for any difference? And my question is, why are we paying lodging for these subs when we have a corporate apartment? So when these subs come down, because when it was wherever we go, it's, why are we paying an extra $200 a night or whatever the price is for these subs when we're already paying $1,000 a month for a property for the inspector?
I guess when you say subs,
Well, whoever we're paying to replace land is not on site. Just assuming some kind of a sub. I mean, you've got, it's like 3 or 4 different people. Then like October,
Yeah, we've had 4 different people fill in for
for
Glenn.
days, yeah, yeah.
And that was one question I had, which he just touched on a little bit, is we've always been billed $95 an hour for them as well. And if they're a senior rep, that's the fee, but if they're just a project representative, it's supposed to be billed at 75. So are all your men that you send down here senior?
I believe all the ones that we've sent down here are, I can check the list again, but, you know, our accounting has a list of people with the dollar amounts associated, so when they're plugged in or they put their timesheet in, it's got that right into it, it's built to our billing software. But I believe all of them that have been on this are the senior representatives. We don't have too many junior ones that are traveling in this one.
Now, we've been paying travel for them to get here as well, hours and mileage. In the breakdowns, it doesn't, you know, there's.
I have to imagine giving the cost of mileage at $451.
Well,
It's a hell of a long trip.
Yeah.
50,
It's just
60
fine to pay for
miles
lodging,
on
too.
average.
Yeah,
How much lodging?
it all depends on,
Lodging, I've got 179.76 for October, then 521.12 for November of 19.
the normally fee for the gentleman that's here all the time inspections is $1,000 a month for paying for lodging. But they're getting a contract that says we'll pay the direct cost plus 10%.
I'm in the hotel business, in the room.
I can't imagine that's direct cost plus 10%.
One of my other concerns is the food budget is on average $1,100 a month. That's more than his lodging. It's just astronomical. And I'd like to see.
And they're here, we're supposed to be paying direct cost plus 10%.
So our inspector gets the per diem rate by New York State.
But that's not what we're told to be billed. We're saying direct cost plus 10%. That to me says whatever he pays out, we're paying that $50 plus 10% for his meal at Red Lobster, whatever it is. Yes, that's right. Your per diem is your business.
Say per diem.
This, to me, I want to know where the receipts are to justify $1,100 a month for eating. For somebody who's here 5 days a week, how many weeks for the month? I mean,
Yeah, I don't have that with me today.
I didn't gather you would have receipts or anything like that, but these are the those are different, good for him. I mean, whatever you guys pay him for that, that's up to you, but we would like receipts, and we pay the receipt plus 10%, which is what we agreed to.
I mean, you said you were figuring per diem, what's per diem?
Just the-
Daily, I know, but what is that per diem rate per day?
I believe, I think it's $50.
$50?
$50 a day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is a state rate plus.
That's still.
$50 a day, that's what, $250 a week? So, this seems a little, I would just really like to see receipts or something that, you know what I mean, because, I know, I used to do per diem when I was in construction, for I get $20 a day, I pocket most of it, money and cheese, go do whatever I did at night, that's my business. But that's what we did, and I didn't have to give receipts, and my contract was not written, so it was a flat rate, this is what you pay, period.
Yeah. I've done